Carolina and the Democratic Senator Bill Nelson of Florida. Each sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Sir, it's great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shepard.
Thanks, Shepard.
Senator Nelson, let's start with you, I guess. We're told that there's a treasure trove of information, which would suggest to me that we know what this information is, or we wouldn't categorize it as that. Is that fair, or do we not know yet?
Well, just think, in the past, whenever we've been able to gather up a laptop or a cell phone or files, that has been extremely, extremely valuable information to us, no matter who it came from. Now, just imagine what we found in that building, and that this is numero uno's own laptops that he's communicating through the courier. So I think we're going to get a lot of information.
Gosh, you know, Senator Burr, I sure hope that's the truth. It would be so nice to be able to go down and take out a lot of people who want to do us harm and other good folks harm. But, you know, this is a house with no internet, no telephone connection. And really over the last few years, I can't find the intelligence that's been released to us, at least, that suggests to us that Osama bin Laden actually had operational control over anything. In fact, we've been led to believe for years that he didn't. Senator Burr, has it been indicated to you otherwise, that they think there actually might be something here?
Well, Shepard, there is a lot of information, but understand that the intelligence process, the analytical process that the CIA goes through, is painstaking. It's connecting dots that we don't know what's in between. So even pocket litter gives us some insight into how we connect those dots. In this particular case, Bill's right. The volume of stuff is phenomenal. We don't know the content of it yet, but it's clear that when you match up what might be on that information with people that have gone through interrogation, we may find a whole new area that we need to look at that we didn't know about before.
Well, that would be an amazing thing, and I want to talk to both of you about that very quickly, but I do have to get a commercial break in. Plus, bin Laden's plots cost thousands of American lives. Burr of North Carolina, the Democratic Senator Bill Nelson of Florida, each sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator Burr, I guess the main thing you have to do is whatever you do get, you have to act quickly, right?
Well, Shepard, not only do you have to act quickly, we've got probably operations around the world right now watching to see if people are moving from location to location. Remember that we've got all sorts of al-Qaeda affiliates that have grown over the last 9.5 years. So there also may be a power struggle for the core of al-Qaeda. We can't be assured that Zawahiri automatically becomes number one. That may fall to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and al-Awlaki or potentially some other bad actors that are out there. But we've got a much greater geographical footprint we've got to watch now.
Senator Nelson, this war got started right after the attacks of 9/11, and then we moved on to another war. And according to most of the reports, most of the people who were doing the good work at the time were all scattered. We wasted a lot of money. Is it your sense that now we'll actually be able to go through with some of our plans to wind some of these operations down? Is the excuse for staying now dead?
The short answer is no, but I think the timetable, for example, with Afghanistan will continue as it is, starting in July and winding down about 2014. But let's recognize that still Pakistan is a major concern of ours. And although it was the Pakistani intelligence that helped us first identify the courier in the first place years ago, that took us, according to the newspaper accounts, to bin Laden. Nevertheless, we all have concerns about the Pakistani intelligence being riddled with people that have sticky fingers and very big ears.
Senator Burr, it almost feels sometimes like with a friend like Pakistan, who really needs an enemy?
Well, Shepard, it's a love-hate relationship,
Yeah.
but what happened yesterday is beneficial to their long-term security. And there are a lot of terrorists around the world that all of a sudden they're believers that we can find them and we can kill them. They're not going to sleep near as well in the future as they have in the past.
Man, I hope you're right about that. Senator Nelson, one of the elephants that's kind of wandering around the room is, well, let's face it, every American wanted this guy dead. He came over here and murdered our neighbors and changed our lives and left us in tears for weeks and weeks. Thank God he's dead. That said, by international law, what we just did, it's flatly illegal. And how do we justify going forward how it is that we're going to carry out our operations? I mean, clearly it had to be done, but it's also clearly illegal.
I'm not so sure it is. When you consider that he is a combatant, it was an act of war that he conducted and orchestrated against the United States. We clearly made our intentions known that we were going after him wherever he was, and fortunately we got him.
Thank God. Senator Burr, from here, I guess there's a lot of message manipulation that must happen. You want to make sure that conspiracy theorists aren't going, he's not dead, but you also don't want to inflame, as the White House put it. So I guess this decision on how much photographic evidence and otherwise to release is a difficult one and a very important one.
Well, it is, and I'll leave it up to the White House to determine the timing and the volume of what they release. But I think at the end of the day, there will be pictures that are released that show clearly that he's dead, and probably pictures or video that show that we extended to him the religious rights that the Muslims would expect, and that his body was in fact buried at sea, so that we can close the chapter on whether there's going to be a grave site that becomes a martyrdom at some point in the future. But I'll leave that up to the White House to determine what the appropriate volume is and what the timing of it is.
Before we go, Senator Nelson, you've both been briefed on these matters, and I know there's certain things you can share and certain things you can, and frankly I'm appreciative of that. But should we as a community of Americans now be more concerned in the short term about the safety of our friends and loved ones? And if so, is there specific intelligence to suggest that there is a reason for us to, or is it just a feeling?
I think it's a feeling. I think the threats to America are constant. And look how many attempts there have been over the past 10 years. This may increase some of the threat, but recognize, putting that into perspective, the threat's going to always be there, and that's why you would be so proud of all these CIA officers, these young men and women all over the world gathering this information to protect us.
I know a lot of people have said repeatedly, I would just wish we could just give them all a big hug. Anonymity is mighty important around here, so I guess that probably won't happen, but they have the great thanks of a grateful nation. Senators Burr and Nelson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shepard.
Thanks, Shepard.
All right, good to talk with you both. Since the attacks of 9/11,